Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very, very special guest for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
Sure, I would love to. I'm Elissa Hope, and I'm a world-renowned spiritual motivational speaker, healer, and author of Hope from Heaven. It was the #1 new release on Amazon in near-death experience books, and I live in New York.
Wow, I cannot wait. What time is it over there? 1:50?
It's approximately just a little before 2 p.m.
Cool. I cannot wait to dig into your book. Can you tell me first about your past leading up into your present?
Yes, absolutely. My past, when I was only 14 years old, I had an extraordinary near death experience. I really call it an actual death experience because I died during a routine procedure. And during the time when CPR was being performed on me, my soul left my body and it traveled through a long, dark, speeding tunnel that seemed to go on for miles and miles. And finally, at the end of this long, speeding tunnel, it opened up into the brightest light where my 3 guardian angels were waiting for me in the light. And they told me that I was safe with them in heaven. They gave me the choice of staying in heaven with them or returning to my life with an important purpose. So I kept saying, I have to go back. I have to go back. My mom really needs me because I was my mother's only daughter. I have 2 older brothers, but my mom, she only wanted a daughter. So she kept going until she had me. So I just felt like, how can I leave my mother behind like that, without so much as thank you, I love you, goodbye. So when I kept saying, I have to go back, my mom really needs me, my guardian angel said, think very carefully because you will only get this one chance to stay in heaven with us where you will be so much happier. They said you will have eternal peace and bliss and happiness. They said, but if you do decide to return to your life, it will be very challenging in exchange for being allowed to go back, but you will be sent back with an important purpose. And they said, before you make up your mind, we have something to show you. And all of a sudden, I'm watching my own funeral, what it would be like if I chose to stay in heaven and not return to my life. So everybody was there. My family, my friends, teachers, neighbors, and of course, everyone was sad and upset, but the only one who was absolutely inconsolable, beyond grief-stricken, was my mother. And she kept throwing herself on top of my casket. It was a closed casket. She kept throwing her body on top of my casket, screaming, crying, Elissa, Elissa, I love you, my baby. Don't leave me. Come back to me. So I said to my guardian angels, see, I have to go back. My mom really needs me. And my guardian angels said to me, they said, of course, she's going to be so upset, but they said in time, she wouldn't be as grief-stricken as she was seeing my funeral. And there was a big, tall, white door. They said, once you pass through this door, there is no turning back. Then you have to stay here. So then they kept promising me how much happier I will be in heaven with them. And they said, wait until you see who is behind this door and so much more glorious heaven. So every time they kept promising me eternal paradise in heaven, I would inch a little bit closer to the door. But then I would see my mom throwing herself on top of my casket again, begging, screaming, Elissa, Elissa, don't leave me, my baby. I love you. Come back to me. So then I would inch away from the door. And I said, I said, I don't know what to do. All of a sudden I hear footsteps and God is standing right in front of me. I am face to face with God, our Heavenly Father, creator of the universe. And God said to me, "What's the matter, my child? Why are you crying? Why are you so upset?" I said, "I have to go back. My mom really needs me." So God said to me, "I understand." And he turned to my guardian angels and he said, "Send her back immediately." And then he said to me, "I'm sending you back with an important purpose." He said, "Once your soul is back in your body, you will not remember what your full purpose is until the time is right," because I was just much too young to handle such a big responsibility, of being God's messenger at only 14 years old. So I agreed. And there is some more that went on in heaven that I don't want to, I never give away everything in the book because I don't want to ruin it for the people who are going to read it, but so I thanked my guardian angels and God and gave them hugs, and my soul was going back through that long, dark, speeding tunnel. And just before my soul was back in my body again, I saw and I felt and heard everything going on in the dental clinic. That's where I died. The dentist gave me much too much nitrous oxide. He gave me an overdose of the gas, which had cut off my oxygen supply and stopped my heart. So before my soul was fully back in my body, the dentist was frantic. He was screaming, crying, "We have to get it back. We have to get it back." And the hygienist was doing the CPR me, and she said, "There's still no pulse." And the dentist was crying, "Don't give up, don't give up. She's only 14. He said, "Oh my God, this never happened before." And he kept telling her, "Don't give up." So I felt the 3 thrusts on my chest, the 3 breaths in my mouth. And then maybe a couple seconds later, I heard the hygienist say, "There's a pulse now. We have her back." And the dentist screamed. He said, "Thank God." And I laughed to myself, and I thought I did just thank God personally, So I was still very, dazed. And I said, "What just happened? I was just in heaven. I was with God." And the dentist said, "I believe it." He said, "You were gone. You had no pulse. We almost couldn't bring you back." Little did he know, he thought from the CPR that they brought me back. But if I chose to have stayed in heaven, no amount of CPR would have brought me back, So
I have a
yes,
question. Have
sure.
you thought about getting a group together, or you may already have one, but a group together for people with out of body experiences?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea. But I normally just go on other people's podcasts, to talk about it. And that's why I thought the best way that I can reach out to everyone all over the world to enlighten them all about God's light and love, spirituality and purpose here on earth as well as in heaven was by writing the book, Hope from Heaven, because that way, it's traditionally published and it has worldwide distribution. So I figured that's the most effective way, to go about it.
What did you learn from your out of body experience that you carry with you to
Right.
this day?
100%. I learned that God truly does exist in heaven, having stood before him myself, and that, we just, when we die, we just leave our bodies behind physically, but spiritually, we're more alive than ever. Our soul is eternal. And I tell everybody that nobody should be afraid of dying because I say, been there, done that already, And I mean, dying, people ask me, does it hurt when you die? So I say, dying, it's just as natural as being born, but a different process, And I also have learned that when we lose a loved one here on earth, they're still always with us spiritually. They're loving us, protecting us, guiding us from heaven. True love never dies. It is endless. And I will tell you that my beloved boyfriend, Todd Urban, he was a famous supermodel, and then he was a psychologist and a licensed marital family therapist in Santa Monica, California. He is the one who revealed my full purpose to me. Todd and I, we were both separated and going to get married when sadly he died suddenly. I had no idea he had died yet when he came to me in a visitation dream, and he held me. He told me he loves me and he will always be with me spiritually. And then when I woke up, I found out that he died. And of course, I was devastated and I collapsed. But I said to myself, but he just came to me and he was holding me and telling me that he will always be with me spiritually. So I knew, he's still with me. He was just in another dimension, in heaven.
Do you think that you have a heightened sense of purpose with your spirituality?
Yes, absolutely. I have, from having died and my soul left my body and I stood before God in heaven, I definitely have a higher consciousness to heaven, where I'm able to connect with my loved ones who have passed away. And just getting back to how my full purpose was revealed to me was on the morning of Todd's memorial service. I woke up that morning and I look out my window, and straight ahead of me, and there has never been a swan in the water where I live in the 17 years that I'm living here. So I look straight out ahead of me, and in the water, there's a pair of beautiful swans. And I just knew it's a sign and a message from Todd. So I run out, and my lawn, it's all wet. My house slippers are all ruined, and I'm in my pajamas, and I run down to the water. And as soon as the beautiful ethereal pair of swans see me, they turn towards me, their necks entwine and their bills touch, kissing. And it just took my breath away. It was so beautiful. And I knew that there's a very spiritual message for me from this beautiful pair of swans. So I go back in my house and I Google, what is the meaning of, a pair of swans? And it came right up that swans, they're the twin flame spirit animal, and they represent the eternal love of oneness between two beings. And twin flames are one soul that was split into two bodies and share the same consciousness. And they're very rare. You can have many soulmates, but only one twin flame, because it's your soul, it's the other half of your soul. And they're sent here in their last lifetime when their soul's very advanced, and they're sent here as a light worker to raise the vibration of love and energy throughout the world. So that was the rest of my purpose that was revealed to me, is that I'm a light worker to raise the vibration of love and energy throughout the world. So
what do you do as a spiritual motivator?
Well, I reach out to people who have lost, say, parents who have lost children in the most tragic ways. I reach out to them, or they reach out to me, and I try and heal them spiritually, and I pray for them, pray with them, and I also, by writing my book, Hope from Heaven, that's another way that I'm reaching out to make a difference in this world spiritually. And another amazing sign that I received from my beloved Todd was a year after he died. I was talking out loud to Todd, and I was saying, Todd, I need you to help me get my book, Hope from Heaven, into the right hands, into the right producer or director's hands for a movie to be made out of it. And as soon as I said that, my phone rang. I was in the kitchen cooking, so I did not answer it. As soon as I was done cooking, when I checked my caller ID, I couldn't believe it. It was a phone call from heaven, from Todd. It was Todd's cell phone number with the name of a famous Hollywood director, Mikhail Hafstrom. So I knew Todd was saying to me, perhaps Mikhail Hafstrom is the right hands to get my book into for a movie to be made out of it. So I always say, Mikhail, if you're listening, please contact me, But
So
it's,
tell me about your books or your book.
Oh, you want? Sure.
Show it.
Hope from Heaven by Elissa Hope.
What's the most special excerpt from your book that you would like to discuss?
Really, that true love never dies. It is endless. And also to always have faith in God. I tell everybody, you need to pray to God every day and develop a close, personal, loving relationship with Him. And then, because people that I do help to heal spiritually, some people, when they go through the hardest, challenging times in their life, they have said to me, I lost my faith in God. And I always say, no, that is when you need to have the most amount of faith in Him and pray to Him, because God hears every prayer, and the power of prayer is so strong. And I always say, in your darkest hour, there is always light. And when one door closes, another one opens, And people have asked me, why do I have to go through, such suffering here? And I tell them, and this is the truth, is that your soul grows the most amount of spiritual growth when you are going through the hardest, most challenging times in your life.
Tell me about a challenge in your life that you overcome using your spirituality.
Well, that would definitely have to be my beloved twin flame, Todd, dying suddenly. I have to say, at the time when it happened, I was, nothing has been more painful to me than losing my twin flame, which is, it's the other half of my soul. So it was beyond painful. But then when I kept receiving all of that extraordinary afterlife communication from him, and I dedicated my book to my beautiful daughter, Rafaela, and to my beloved twin flame, Todd, slowly but surely, I started to, I just kept growing more and more spiritually, where I said, okay, this is what I'm meant to do for the rest of my life here. And I know when my time is up here again, because this time I'm not coming back here, I'm staying in heaven for all of eternity. So I said, then I will reunite with Todd, And also my beautiful mother passed away last year.
I'm sorry.
And my mother, I know. And my mother is the reason why I chose to come back to my life from heaven. So that was another painful, big loss in my life. But I received incredible afterlife communication from my mother too. So I would just have to say, losing two of the three closest people to me in my life is the most difficult thing and painful losses in my life. But I really feel that, I'm stronger than I've ever been now, and I'm doing God's work from heaven here on earth, which fulfills me. And to know that one life has breathed easier because of you, that is purpose and my purpose. So, yeah.
How are you going to do for the future? What are you going to do for the future? How is your future going to be?
I see my future pretty much, what I'm doing now. And I do plan on writing a follow-up book because people have contacted me, that they would like to know, will I be doing another book? And a lot of people said they would love to see a movie made out of this book. So
Yes.
yeah, so I plan on just doing what I'm doing now. And, it just, by me helping to heal others, it heals me in return too. And also, I'm the biggest animal lover, and all of the royalties from my book goes into animal rescue. And my mission is to expand a good no-kill animal shelter. And also, people have asked me, do you reunite with your pets in heaven? And the answer is yes. I'll tell you, on my daughter's 16th birthday, my beloved boyfriend Todd, he came to me in another visitation dream with my childhood dog Shag. And Todd said to me, look who's here with me. Look who I have, who came to see you too. And my childhood dog Shag, he was young and healthy again, running around in circles. He just kept running in circles. He was so excited to see me. So I woke up, elated. I was just so happy to know that my dog, he's with that my beloved dog is with my boyfriend Todd. So many people, and when they read that in my book, I have received so many messages from people saying how that has helped them, because they're suffering the loss of their beloved pets. I think I received more letters about people being so upset that they lost their pet, than like anything else, because they really do give us unconditional love. They're just so wonderful. And I always say, if you spell dog backwards, that's what you got.
That is true. Yes.
They are God's gift to the world, dogs, cats. I mean, I feed the wildlife where I live. I see the beauty in all animals. I'm the biggest animal lover.
Have you ever reached out to Lifetime about the movie that you're trying to possibly?
Right. I have not, but whoever wants to help me can reach out to Lifetime, or if anyone has any connections or any producers or directors, you can contact me on my author website at elissahope.com. There's my contact form and my email address. So, everybody can just reach out to me.
Wow. And if you had to give a piece of advice to the young entrepreneur or somebody with an out of body experience that don't know where to start to try to tell their story, what would it be, Elissa?
Well, I think it's the best time now, where there's all of this social media, where we didn't have that when I had my near-death experience at 14 years old. So I think the best time is now. Just be very active on social media, and, podcasts are great. And I always say, never give up. You have to do what you're passionate about doing. And if you are, just everything will fall into place when the time is right. Hard work and determination always pays off. And when one door closes, another one opens. If something doesn't work out, it's just because that wasn't meant to be, but something else better is on the horizon. So I always say you need to see the glass as half full, never empty. Always think positive. And the power of prayer is so strong. Always pray, pray, pray. God hears you and he will answer your prayers. It may not be, right away, but it will be when the time is right. Everything always happens for a reason. And my guardian angels told me in heaven, every second of your life is already written in the book. And once you're born, not a second of it can be changed. So, everything is predestined. So just, do what you're passionate about doing, because if you don't, you won't be happy. I know a lot of people, they're in jobs they don't like what they're doing. They're miserable. So I say, no, you have to do what you're truly passionate about. And then it won't even feel like work. You'll wake up so happy to jump out of bed in the morning and just do what fulfills you from within.
How do the people reach you one more time?
They can reach me on my website, www.elissahope.com. That's ELISSAHOPE. And also, you could see my YouTube channel at Elissa Hope 4524. There's some really, cool YouTube videos on there. One is a visit from my deceased twin flame, and it's of my beloved Todd making contact with me as an angel. You'll see the little angel on the grass going into the water, so it's really very fascinating.
Are you on Instagram?
No. And, people who are skeptical of these things, the way that I can prove that it's true, I always say I'll be happy to take a polygraph for anyone who wants to pay for it. I'll take 1 million polygraphs to prove it's the God's honest truth. And I document a lot of my fascinating afterlife communication. And I am the most private person. I have never been on social media. I'm not on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, just because of how private I am. So I think that really does prove that I'm 100% telling the God's honest truth, because, I still crave my privacy, but I knew that I had to serve my purpose for God and do what I was sent back here to do. Not getting any younger, so I said I must do it, now. I couldn't keep putting it off over the years,
One last question. What makes your book and your story stands out? So if not LinkedIn, but if Lifetime producers or some producers, because I know people are watching, what makes you stand out, and what makes your book so powerful that you think a movie producer would pick it up on Lifetime?
Yes, that's a great question. Definitely is that when I died, I came face to face with God, not Jesus. A lot of these near-death experience that I've heard that other people had, a lot of people will say they met Jesus or they felt God's light and love and energy, but never came and stood before him, in contact with him in human form. I was face to face in human form. God was in human form. He looked like Jesus, but older. His face was more mature, which makes sense because Jesus is the Son of God. So I would say God's face looked maybe 25 years older. I don't want to insult God too much, but so that is just so incredible. And I was 100% certain. I knew it was God immediately, because God said, he called me his child. What's the matter, my child? And we're all of God's children. And then also what's so fascinating is that God's Spirit came to me I would say, yes, 2 weeks after Todd died. Todd died January 15th, 2020. And God's Spirit came to me on February 1st, 2020, and completely healed me. And that's in my book. And I have to say that's even more, to me, it was more incredible than when I stood before God in heaven, because it was this whirling mist with light in the center. I was awake, and it was on my ceiling, whirling down closer and closer until it was close enough to me, both arms extended, with so much light radiating throughout both arms. And then both arms with all that light wrapped around me, and all of God's light and love and healing energy was just pouring inside of me that, remember, I felt like I was going to die of a broken heart. I was completely healed. In the morning, I jumped out of bed. My heart didn't hurt anymore. I was completely healed. I went to speak to a priest and a rabbi, and I said, wasn't that God's spirit who came and healed me? And they both said, no, that could only have been God's spirit, because only God can completely heal you. And I was not just healed from Todd dying, I was healed from anything bad I ever went through in my entire life. You know, it was so magnificent. I mean, it's even hard to put into words, you know.
Do you
So,
listen to frequency music, like different frequencies? Do you think your frequency is on a different level, and why?
well, I call it my soul music, my favorite songs and music that I love. You know, I call it my soul music because it really just touches my soul, you know, and it calms me, you know, it relaxes me. Um, and also, you know, I always tell everybody to take some time out to yourself every single day, even if it's only 15, 20 minutes, and do something good for your body, mind, and spirit. For me, I swim practically every single day, you know, and I listen to my soul music, you know, while I'm swimming, and it just makes me feel so, you know, just so good, body, mind, and spirit, you know, for the rest of the day and the night. So, and I always tell people too, it's very important to be kind and do good deeds for others every day too, even if it's as small as holding the door open and smiling, you know, or just if you know an elderly person is like lives alone, you know, whether it be a family member, a friend, or even a neighbor, you know, call them, check on them, because that really makes a difference in their day. You'd be so surprised. And of course, I always say, you know, to rescue, you know, a beautiful dog, a cat in the animal shelter, because there are so many in need of loving homes, you know. So it's very important just to be humble and kind, and to, if you make another person or animal's life easier, you will have good karma come back to you.
Thank you. Well said. Thank you so much, Miss
Thank you.
Hope. Stay on the line. You guys that are watching, y'all take care. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.